There we go. Awesome. Well, thank you. As Heather mentioned, my name's Arran. I'm the program manager at Fedora. Today, however, though, I'm here on behalf of the Hyrax Fedora 6 working group. And I'm just going to be giving an update and kind of overview on the work that we've been doing and kind of what we have left or what we have on the go. So the Hyrax Fedora 6 working group is comprised of a group of stakeholders from both the Fedora and the Hyrax communities who came together because we had this kind of shared interest in understanding what we could do in parallel to the community effort that was taking place around Hyrax and Valkyrie support. And we were looking to see what kind of support we could offer to any users who were interested in specifically Hyrax 5 backed by Fedora 6. So originally our charter was aimed kind of more at scoping work. So we thought we would kind of discuss and scope out the work that was going to be required, maybe gather some use cases from within the community so that we could maybe, and then we could provide recommendations to the teams that were doing the work on this kind of Valkyrization effort. But we realized very quickly and quite excitedly, actually, that much of the work was moving along at a faster rate than we were even meeting at. So also some of the stakeholders within our working group were actually past that point of scoping work and we're already starting into development and testing. So early in 2024, we made a pivot in our original charter and deliverables, and we redefined what we were setting out to do and kind of relook at the scope of work that we could do. And so what we did is we established new deliverables, and it included more kind of technical things that we would need to accomplish or that we wanted to accomplish to have a fully functional Hyrax 5 backed by Fedora through Valkyrie. So that's our new kind of charter or our new purpose there. The full charter and deliverables is available on our wiki space, which I'll share at the end. But this is the list of stakeholders who are actively participating in the working group. You can see that there is kind of a wide representation from both communities and community members who sit in both the Fedora and Hyrax communities. So we're super fortunate to have this really dedicated group of individuals have all their expertise in one space, kind of working together on this project. Just a quick thank you and shout out to everybody there. So this is what we have been able to check off as of, kind of to date. So we've been closely monitoring the testing matrix that exists for Sirenia, which I think Emily and team at Emory shared just before, two presentations before, but we're kind of using that and looking to that as a guideline and proof of concept for Hyrax 5 backed by Fedora 6. So Sirenia, just kind of very briefly, it is an application, a Hyrax application that's configured to use Valkyrie in lieu of active Fedora for accessing Fedora 6 and Solar. So we've involved Fedora development aspects on this kind of piece of it. And so our developers from the Fedora community have been kind of getting into the Fedora related elements that are left with the tests that are failing still. There's also been input from the team at Emory and some other key stakeholder institutions. And currently we're at 89% of the tests in this test matrix are passing, which is great. One of the outputs of the Dev Congress, the Samvera Dev Congress that happened earlier this year, was a Fedora feature related to pair tree identification config or identifier configurations. Sorry, there's a lot of words. Dan Field at Fedora worked on this element along with, I think there was input from Randall Floyd, but there was some work and that has all been wrapped up and released with Fedora 6.5. And then through our discussions, the hope is that Hyrax 5.1 will aim to resolve any of the Hyrax related outstanding issues in the Sirenia test suite. So getting that to as close to 100% passing is kind of on our list of things that we'd like to do, but we have been able to, come to this point so far, which is awesome. We've also spent a significant amount of time gathering very detailed and specific use cases to help us kind of gain a broad but also very strong understanding of each person's kind of individual workflows, presentation processes, etc. And then we kind of use these use cases to help build a broad understanding of how and what each element or component of the repository and how they should how we foresee them interacting with each other. And for us, this has helped us learn a lot about the different approaches to things like data modeling. I know that Emily talked about that just a few minutes ago, and how understanding the impacts of the different data models, which has been an interesting conversation both in our working group and in the Fedora community for the different approaches there. But so really understanding those use cases broadly has been helpful for us. And then we've also started to gather some very basic, at this point, performance testing metrics that we'd like to investigate at what point in time we're able to get to that. It is one of our deliverables, but right now we're just in the kind of understanding what we would like to look at when we get there kind of thing. And lastly, one of my main goals, being a non-developer in this group, is centered around communications. So we have been working really intentionally to try to consolidate all of the really great work that's happening throughout the community and throughout the Fedora community, and trying to bring it all into one place so that anybody that is interested in following along with this kind of path specifically, this Hyrax and Fedora path specifically, can find that information in a concise kind of consolidated way. So it can be kind of tricky and intimidating to try and search through all of the different individual platform processes and progress that's been made. But we try to, after every meeting, kind of release an update to both Samvera and Fedora communities to keep people in the loop and stay up to date. So hopefully that's been helpful. I know I have found it helpful in just trying to communicate where everything is at for broad understanding for both communities. And so in terms of next steps, obviously there's still work to be done. Oh, geez. There's still work to be done. As I mentioned, we are kind of working toward Sirenia as a fully functional application. So again, doesn't necessarily mean 100% of tests passing in that matrix, but ensuring that all main functionality is there and is included. We also need to look at full support for Fedora 6. So at this moment, that means resolving an outstanding issue that we have on the Fedora side of things that deals with encoded slashes, and it's hitting in Fedora 6.5 specifically. So there is an open ticket for it in the Fedora Jira. I've listed it there if this is kind of an open call with my Fedora hat on. Anybody that would like to take a look at that. We think we've pared it down to an issue with Tomcat being one of the only things that has changed since Fedora 6.4.1 to 6.5. So anybody that's like to take a look at that, we'd be appreciative of any feedback. And then also there's an element of Valkyrie that needs updating to work with pear trees. I think I don't want to speak too technically on it because that's a little outside of my scope, but there are some configuration elements there that need to be included with the pear tree work that was done for 6.5 for Fedora. And then we're going to dive more deeply into this performance testing element of Hyrax and Fedora together. So we have been told that there might be an opportunity to configure the new Rax testing environment to do some of this performance investigation work. So stay tuned on that. We're not quite at the point of being able to get there yet, but that's next on our list. And then the last thing we want to do is continue to document or continue to compile migration considerations. So we recognize that actually building or creating the tools to do this is kind of outside of our capacity as a working group, but we do want to continue to document any lessons learned from stakeholders. And, again, back to Emily's presentation, anybody that is doing this work already, we would love to hear from you. We would love to understand your barriers, challenges, et cetera, so that we can kind of put this into a document and maybe use these lessons learned or this documented processes for recommendations of what could be done in the future. And then lastly, and the best part, how to help and how to get involved. I know all of the working groups have mentioned ways to get involved. And so this is just one more kind of plug for that. The Hyrax maintenance working group, this group of individuals is small but mighty. And this group is really going to be critical in seeing Hyrax 5.1 out the door, which for us will include all of those hopefully outstanding issues related to Sirenia. So, we'd love to see that move forward. And I would encourage you to reach out to Rebecca or Daniel for how to get connected or involved there. There's the Fedora community. Obviously, again, with my Fedora hat on, we would love input and any engagement that you can offer up. There's our weekly tech meetings, our Slack channels, and I've included here the wiki link to the working group if you are looking for information on what we've been working on. All the meeting notes are there. or you can reach out to Heather or I if you have any additional questions. But that is all for my update.